You there?
Observer is a fantastic game, although it's kinda hard to nail it down to one genre. It's definitely a horror game, but would it be classified as a thriller, as a detective game, as a walking sim? It can kind of fit into all those categories, but I don't think anyone who's played it can deny the amount of value that the game brings to the table.
Must have dozed off.
No rest for the wicked. How's the dream meter treating you?
This game is, if you can't tell from the footage and the general aesthetic, a send-up to Blade Runner. Not that it's directly inspired by its story, but heavily inspired by its aesthetic, being a cyberpunk game, and has one of its stars, Rutger Hauer, in the leading role.
Yeah, wouldn't want me to mess up. Can you see the headlines? Another leech goes berserk.
Don't be like that. It's just...
Yeah. What's this about? Just checking in, or you need me downtown?
God, that voice can melt butter. The main premise of this game is that you play as a special kind of cop in this cyberpunk dystopian future who has the ability to jack into other people's cerebral implants in order to navigate their memories for investigative purposes. The issue that we come across in this game is that your character is going out of his way to break some of the rules when it comes to things that you're not allowed to do. You're not allowed to go into someone who is dying or dead, and the separation between your mind as the player and the mind of the person who you are interrogating, quote-unquote, can be slimmer and slimmer as you go down, to the point where there are certain protocols that can immediately rip you out of the person's mind if it gets too dangerous.
Still no connection. Listen to me. The building's on lockdown. There's no way I can help you now. But I can get whoever's responsible for this if you help me find him. Don't try to talk. There's another way.
Subject approved. Commencing neural interrogation.
The reason why your character is doing this in the first place is because they get a disturbing call from their son, and they go to check in on them to find a headless body that is currently unidentified at the beginning of the game.
Adam? Oh my god.
Abnormal stress. Heart rate irregular. Administering mild sedative.
Dispatch, this is Lazarski, ID 656210. Can anyone hear me? Great. Fucking great. Okay, Dan. Maybe it's not him. Doesn't have to be.
Operational efficiency restored.
This is Lazarski 656210. Setting up a crime scene somewhere.
The main bulk of the game is going to be doing one of two things. The first bit is going to be navigating this apartment complex that you are looking for clues in. You have a lot of tools at your disposal, namely being able to hack into people's computers, and some vision modes that allow you to analyze parts of your environment, either biological components for clues from footprints, blood, as well as a mechanical analyzer that allows you to scan computers and bio implants of people.
Motive. Unclear.
That's going to take up most of your time in the game, but the real meat of it, we'll say the set pieces that really grab the central premise, are the interrogations where you enter other people's minds. And this is where all the rules about realism are thrown out the window. Think something like Inception if it didn't try and look presentable.
Do you remember the night we met?
It's hard to forget.
Now these are the best parts of the game, and they present a lot of really, really interesting and terrifying set pieces. Of note, and this is a really important note, you can die in these segments. Shocker. But I bring this up because in one of their previous well-known games, in this case, Layers of Fear, made by Blooper Team, who also developed this game, that game I had some issues with. To be brief, since we're not talking about this game, Layers of Fear is a poorly made horror game, in my opinion, because while most of the scares are creative, there's not actually any threat from anything in the game outside of a single enemy. And this isn't an enemy that can kill you so much as just teleport you back to the beginning of that area until you can get past them. When you realize that you're just basically being took on a haunted house tour for most of the game, that really takes out the impact. Because as much as things will jump out at you and make you feel nervous, when you realize there's nothing that can actually kill you, what is there to be afraid of? And that is the core component of a horror game versus a horror movie. A horror movie, it doesn't have to say raise the stakes for you because you weren't involved. You're not an active participant, you're a viewer. But being an active participant, you have to do that in these games. Layers of Fear had only a single enemy and it wasn't particularly well done. This game actually has several enemies spread throughout it and several game over states that you can get in here, as well as, to be frank, a better crafted narrative. You have a very clear set goal from the beginning, and you can make decisions to move towards that goal based on information that you have. As opposed to Layers of Fear, where you just kind of show up because you do, then you have to get paintings because why not? The benefit that you have with the story setup of this is, since the entire game takes place in one area, you can actually become very, very familiar with that area, and it allows you to kind of wander, navigate, and explore as you please, leading to side missions, or even just discovering other neat little lore or story bits from the world. There's some people who are in their apartments in this building who you can talk to, and they're completely optional. They just flesh out the world more. Same with all the side quests that you can do too. It's really a good way to kind of ground your world when it doesn't just seem like one long series of hallways, because in this case it's not. You have a lot of branching paths that you can take, and you can genuinely get lost trying to find your way around, especially if you don't know what apartment to go to, what part of the building to go to, hence you being a detective in this game.
KPD, I need to talk to you.
Get away from me, man. I got a piece on me, and I ain't afraid to use it.
No, you don't. Now calm down. I'm just looking for some answers.
Oh, I know how you get your answers. I got nothing to tell you.
And if I haven't stressed it enough, I just want to convey, the aesthetics of this game are going to be the biggest selling point. Outside of the trippy visuals of the interrogation scenes, just look at the amount of artistry and just cyberpunk vibes, for lack of a better word, that you get from this. It's truly stunning just how much work they put into this, and it reminds me, although not a perfect analog, of a description that a game developer had, where they said that if they could create a perfect RPG, it would basically be a single square block of a city that is so insanely detailed and so nuanced with its characters and amount of things you can interact with, that it would actually have more to do in that than any given wide open world sim like Skyrim, Oblivion, Fallout, you name it. This reminds me of that. It is, on a technical level, small in scope. Very small map. But there's so much to do in here, and it's very, very fulfilling. Look at this one shot here. And if I just play a little bit of this here music from it, look at the kind of atmosphere this builds. If you're into anything cyberpunk, if you're into horror, Blade Runner, or any of the other sort of detective movies, I would absolutely recommend this game. And it's absolutely, in my opinion, better than the previous work. And it's good to see them step up to the plate, because I don't know if you're aware of this, but Bluebird Team did not have, we'll say, a great introduction for me. This is the first game of theirs that I was introduced to here. Yeah, they did not. Whew, don't get me started on that game. But I'll say this, Layers of Fear is notably better than Basement Crawl, and Observer is way better than Layers of Fear. To the point where I genuinely recommend it. You can get it for a pretty good price on Steam right now, and I would absolutely recommend that you go and give it a try. See you around for next Halloween video.